ya YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Foundry Virtual Tabletop from the ground up. And in our last, 3 episodes, we've been working on this macro on creating the ability to roll initiative with advantage. And I am so happy to say, I thought last episode was going to be the last one because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to figure out how to get it to actually add to initiative and get rid of the little die that is there. But I have figured it out. I did run into one little problem that ended up being a clerical error on my part. But the friendly community, by the way, if you do have any questions, you're writing macros, you have questions, the community on the Foundry VTT Discord, they're great people. They're always willing to help. I haven't ever seen where they were, kind of making someone feel bad for their lack of knowledge or anything, because I definitely have a lot of lack of knowledge. But anyway, let's get to it. So we actually are so close to actually having it all done when we only had one tiny piece left, and technically we could accomplish that with just a couple more lines of code. However, I want to talk after we've got this working. I want to talk really quick about some of the pitfalls of this macro, where it actually has some failures or some things that could be fixed. But for the most part, in most situations, I think it's going to work absolutely fine. So let's go ahead and load up our testing macro. In fact, we could, now that I've had to type initiative a lot, I don't know why I was having such a issue remembering how to spell initiative. INITIATIVE. Is that right? Initiative. I think I'm spelling it. Now that I'm on camera, I'm having issues again. INIT. I'm totally IAT. That's what it is. IAT, IV. Just a lot of I's in that one, man. It really throws me off. So, yeah, we'll just call this initiative. And let's go ahead and scroll down. So, let's just talk about this real quick. So right now we have it so that if you click execute macro, if you don't have a token selected, it will throw an error. If you have a token selected and you execute the macro, but you're not in the combat tracker, it should also throw an error, right? Or did we? If game combat length is less than 0. Oh, actually, we didn't have it throw an error because that really didn't matter. But you could have it throw an error. That's right. So this is actually not adding it to the initiative because there's not a combat there. So once we actually have a combat, let's go ahead and add our 2 guys here. I guess they have to be in the box. Right click. Can't do it like that. That. And now we should have 2 people in the initiative. So right now the way it stands is we created our own card opposed to using the default built-in one, which we could actually easily do. So now if we roll that, oh, we have 2 tokens selected. See all this beautiful error checking we have in here, which is really good. So now if we execute it, now we get our little card, and as you can see, I guess I'll just close it. We create our own card. However, very easily we were able to also have it do it itself, and it was in the proper way. So all we have to do is basically comment out. I guess if we went from here, oh, that was backwards. That's right. And then to basically right here. And now if we go uncomment out this one, it will actually go ahead and roll out the way it's supposed to with the die rolls and give us our nice card here, right? So that all works fine. The issue we were running into and that I didn't know at the time is how do I get it to actually replace this die with initiative value? And when we said, you know, it's not that big of a deal for the GM to come in here, click update combatant, and actually type in initiative value. Not a big deal, but hey, automation's way nicer. So what we can do, and it's actually quite easy, is now that we have the roll taking place, we have it doing our roll here. If you look in here, I believe we're in here, 3 messages. We don't have our, where is it? Console log. I'm in console. We need to, let's clear that real quick and let's run it once again. There we go, that's what I want. So we can come in here, and there were 2 schools of thought. Now, when I was originally doing it, I was doing it kind of wrong. I was thinking, okay, so now I just need to check which of these 2 is actually the higher roll. So I could do a simple if statement and compare die 1 to die 2. If die 1 is the higher one, set that to initiative. Create a variable called initiative, and we could have that you know, be the high roll. Or if die 2 is the high roll, then we would simply have a thing saying initiative equals die 2. However, I believe in here we actually have our total. So we don't need to actually worry about any of that. And that's the wrong total, by the way. We probably want this total down here. If we click on it, there you go, 1817. So that's all we really need to worry about, is we now have roll.total, which will be that 18.17, right? So we need to, oops, I didn't want to close that. We need to remember about that. So roll.total will give us that. So let's go ahead, maybe right here. And I have lots of comments in here. I mentioned this also before. We have like all these console logs. These things are not needed once it's going, and what I usually will do is I will comment out console logs, and big chunks of code like this that were kind of patches until I figured out this, you know, I'll end up just deleting. You know, maybe I'll make a copy of the code in just a text file just so I have reference to it if I ever run into somewhere. Oh yeah, how do I do a chat card? I could do that. So anyway, for this, what we're going to want to do now is we need to go loop through the players. So we do know in combat, I think it's in combat, probably info here. I don't remember which one that actually is. We will have, what would it be? So we'll have combatants, right? And in combatants right now, under, I believe, is this the right one? Let me go double check which one this is, because we need to make sure we're doing the right one. So our combatants, let me go check my notes. So we just want it to be from game combats, right? In fact, let's just ignore this for right now, unless that's actually what we did. So that was combat info, which is game. See, this is actually the wrong one. We need just game combats. So let's do it this way. console.log, and maybe we'll call this combats. I don't know. Whoops, I did it. COMBATS colon space comma, and this will just be game dot combats, I believe. Let me just double check. Yes, COMTS. So now we have that set as game dot combats. Let's go ahead and stick in our semicolon, and we'll go ahead and save that. Now if we go ahead and roll again, I forgot to clear this. Hold on. Let's roll again. Now we could disable the dice so nice, and this would run a little faster because it's waiting for that combats. Okay, so here's our combats right here. Now, this is actually, maybe I could mention it right here. This is where one issue could arise. You're able in Foundry to have multiple encounters. We're just assuming it is always going to be the first encounter. So if we had another encounter with a whole nother set of guys, our character might not be in there that we're trying to roll for. Generally, you will be, but it might not be the one you're trying to do. So technically, this isn't going to work as well if you actually have multiple combats and say you want to do combat number 4, roll the initiative. This is automatically going to do combat number 1 because that would be the array element 0. Hopefully that makes sense. So here we have combats. Then we have where is it we need from there? Combats, and then make sure I have that right. We need our not our entries, it's combatants from here. Or actually it's combats. This is one thing that kind of confuses me. But I guess we just have to roll with it. Where is our combatants? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Whoops, that was combatant. So can I do this? It's gonna probably have a hissy. So here in combatants we have a map, right? Of two entries, and we actually have our 2 entries here. If we go look at this one and go down to value, we can see that this one is Accra, the one we actually want, and then we have this one up here, which is the invisible guy we can't see. Let's see, name, which is the Acolyte. Let's just fix this real quick. I'm going to double click that, go to vision, and give him a 60 dark vision. That way we can see our enemy. So anyway, now what we need to do is distinguish, because we only want Accra. So what we want to do is we want to search through this mapping of combatants. And if I'm describing this incorrectly, I apologize, because I don't know all the perfect terminology for this, but let's go ahead right here, and what we want to do is we want to save in a variable called player, and we probably should spell it right, so P-L-A-Y-E-R. So we're going to say, I forgot the let. So let player, that I swear looked like 2 spaces, not 1. And then we're going to equals. So what we want this to be is, we don't have a variable already that will be for like up to this point. So we're going to actually have to do game.combat and then dot combatants, C-O-M-B-A-T B-A-T-A-N-T-S, and then we want to use a special function that is part of combatants and various. I think anytime you have a mapping or an array, you can use this. I'm not 100% sure about a set, but we want to use find. And I don't know 100% everything about this, but what we want to do, as I understand it, is we're going to set what we want. What would I say here? Like a temporary variable of where we're going to set our value that we get, but then we're going to almost instantly set it to here. So we'll never use this n. We're just going to use n for name. It could be any letter. It could be a word as far as I know, but we're just going to do n. And what we're going to say is we're going to say equals, and then the arrow, and I think this is actually called the arrow symbol. And once again, this is something I'm not 100% sure on, but it has a special function. And in this case, it's going to take, when we have on the right side of it, when that condition evaluates to true, it will assign it to the n, I believe. If anyone knows more about this, feel free to chime in, because like I said, I am not a guru at any of this stuff. When I did JavaScript back in probably the early 90s was the last time I did it, and I didn't do it very much. A lot of this stuff didn't exist. So so what we do is we do n, and then we're going to say n.name. And where we're getting this from is game combatant combatants. If we go in here, we'll see that we have some values in here, and one of those values is the one we clicked, called name. Name right there, acolyte. And then in this one, we have acra. So, whoops, that's a comma. So dot name. So we're looking, basically, this is not going to be 100% accurate, but basically what this is saying is take this entire chunk here and assign it to this variable here, and then go inside this variable and this property of said variable, and we're going to look for something. We're going to look for and we use 3 equals, which in other programming languages, maybe it's JavaScript as well, means an exact match. And I've never tried using wildcards here, so I don't know if that works or not. And then we're going to say what we want to match. Now we already know acra is our main token. So when we do our token, we know that it's canvas token controlled 0. We know that that is us because we force us to only have one token selected. So we can actually take this my token, and if we go look at my token in our thing, we can see that, well, we already have an exact name for our token. Under here, we have a name variable. So it's acra. So we can compare that to what it's looping through and finding in our mapping here under element 0 and element 1. We can tell it to match to that exact name. So we don't actually have to type in a hard-coded name here. We can let the game do it for us. So we want to do my token dot name. And this should return a player. That should single out one of these two, and it will actually single out this one, and we already know because that's acra. Now what the next part we need is actually the ID of this token. So now we know that this is the token, or this is the element, or the array, or the mapping, whatever you want to call it. This is the one we need. This is the value we actually need. Is this hi blah 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 blah. So just for my troubleshooting, I'm actually going to say I'm going to do a console log. We're going to call this one player. Log and quote and player. Hopefully I spelled it right. Let me look up and see. And then comma, and we will do player. So now we could actually go in and set a variable called player ID. However, with player, it's short enough that we can actually also just call it player. That's fine. The other thing is we have our initiative, so we know what our full initiative is up here. which is going to be our bonus. I guess this would have made more sense to put up there. But okay, so we have our initiative. So we have all the components we need for this. So now all we have to do is if we go under the game combat, which I believe, did we put in here right? So game combat, we'll actually see in here that, where is it? Well, actually you won't see it in here because it's a function. So let's go ahead and we'll just type it. So we're gonna say we have game.combat, and finally the really hard part that took me a little while to find is set initiative, which you do have to spell right. So it's really good to learn how to spell initiative. And then here we could either, if we would have came up here and would have said, okay, player ID equals player.id, but that's short enough. We can actually just do that here because it takes on two values. One is the ID of the player, and the second is the initiative value. So if we do playe player .id, right, because that is the value, combat, oh, is it right down here? So we have our player ID, right? And then the second one is our initiative, which was my INIT, right? And that's it. That's all we have left to do. And I believe, let's go ahead and save that. And now if we come in here, and unfortunately we can't see that because everything's so squishy. All right, so now if we click on this, we can go to here. Let's clear it. Let's clear everything so we can see really well. Let me move this just a hair. I don't know how much I can move it because I want to be able to see that just a little bit. Probably there's good enough. All right, so now if we clear this and we run our initiative, you'll see that it's rolling the dice, got a 12 and a 17. If we go look here, oh, there was an issue already I could see. So here we have 3.17, right, or 3.17. You can see our die roll, and if we go under initiative, we get a 3. So actually I forgot, we're only adding that 3 part. We still need to add the actual roll. So our roll total, actually, do I need? No, all I need is roll total. I was wrong about this, not the my init. This is going to be our value. So we have roll here, right? If we scroll down, we have our total, and that's all we need there. So we'll get 20.17. Always good to run your thing to make sure it works right. All right, so we want to do roll.total. That should work now. So we close it. Let's go ahead. I don't know if you can reset the initiative. I don't think you can. All right, so let's grab both our tokens, throw them into the combat tracker. Go ahead and clear everything out again. Say yes. Clear this guy out and select only one token, and boom. So now we're rolling our 2 die. We got a 19 and 18, pretty good. So 22.17, if we go look in our tracker here, it didn't work. Great. Why didn't that work? We got, oh, you have to spell roll right, apparently. Roll is with 2 L's. Who'd have thought? All right, let's try this one last time. So we don't have to clear out that, which is good. We can go clear out this. All right, ready? Here we go. Show me the money. Here comes our roll. Maybe. Did I not click it? Uh-oh. I don't like that already. 15.17. Role is not defined. Oh, you know why? I think we called it my role. I'm so smart. I was looking at just the name right here as role, and that's not the one we want to look at. Let's just double check that. I got so excited. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. All right, let's just go ahead and edit it real quick. So if we come up here, because we were naming everything my, so as you can see, role is actually my role. So we just need to change that. And we can hit execute here, but I want to clear everything out, and it'll actually run a saved version of it. Let's go and clear that. Clear this. What, 18th time the charm, right? Hopefully. All right, let's do this. Oh, no errors, so we're doing good. We got 17.17. As you can see, we rolled an 8 and a 14. Plus our 3 plus 0.17 gives us 1717. And drum roll, please. That's a really bad drum roll. 17.17. There we go, people. We did it. It works. Now, like I said, the one flaw if you have multiple encounters, which I think is kind of rare. I've never really ran multiple encounters at once, but you could recode this if you knew exactly how to detect which encounter it is. Some ways you might be able to do that would maybe look for your character. So if this character is in this with someone else, because you might be in more than one. I don't know, because you don't actually name these combats, which is kind of weird to me. You would almost think that you would. But I think that's it, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. I will thank you in advance for your patience with my bumbling and stuff. But like I said, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, check me out on Discord, or check out my other channels, Discord and Twitter and Twitch and all kinds of things. They're all in the description. But that's it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.